Welcome everybody to Young Composer Reacts to Snarky Puppy Lingus. We like it here. I've heard this song about 4 times already, but people in the comments suggested I did some jazz in this track specifically. Let's jump right in. Okay, so I'll stop it right there because there's a lot to unpack. First thing that feels cool to me is how natural of a flow this is. It's like, throughout the first 20 seconds, so many instruments come in, yet, after 20 seconds, I'm here, there's brass, there's bass, there's drums, a lot of synth and stuff, and I'm here like, oh, how did this even start, because the flow of the first synth sounds is so good. There's this guy who's playing 2 synths at once, right? I have a hard time saying synths, whatever. And then another one comes in, and then everything sort of takes place. Feels like they probably spent a long time crafting that intro. It just happens magically. It's great. Let's talk about the unusual stuff because I like to do that. The bass has an envelope filter on it. I don't know exactly what. Could be an auto wah. Could be like a synth simulator or something. Reminds me of Flea's sound in the Red Hot Chili Peppers in songs like Serb Psycho Sexy. Really cool effect. Gives the bass a little bit of a mystique feeling, like it's trying to speak, brah, brah, like it's yawning or even puking. I love those drums. The snare is really strange because as you saw, he has like one snare with a symbol on it that looks like a china, and apparently that's what does this weird, extremely high sound. Like it sounds like a slap. I thought it was triggered by maybe a pad or something at first, maybe by another percussion player that we don't see on camera, but no, I think it's that symbol on a snare. I never saw that before. Really cool. And the offbeat crash fills, just great stuff. Let's keep going. Okay, goddamn, sorry for pausing there, but there's again a lot to unpack. So we're going into a repetition of what we already heard in terms of structure. So we have the da 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 da, the riff part, let's call it, and then we have the part with the guitars. I forgot to break that down. That was really cool. Did you notice that when the three guitars or two, I don't know, play that riff together? Do 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 do. The synth that comes in at first is just slamming the chords at the beginning of the bars and stuff, and then it builds and it brings a little more rhythm to it. It also brings more dissonance. I love this sort of stuff when you take things out of context. For example, the guitar riff on its own, it's pretty meaningless, right? You don't know exactly what it means in terms of harmony. It's really the synth that's telling you how to feel about it. Well, if you change up the chords, obviously the whole thing is going to change completely. I really love this sort of thing where one instrument stays in the same idea and the others just paint. Again, Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song that reminds me of that. It's the outro of Purple Stain, where Flea keeps playing the same riff over and over again, and the guitar player, John, is all over the place with the chords. Really cool stuff. So yeah, in terms of structure, it's really similar. We have the riff played by the brass first, and then we have that different riff played by the guitars and joined by the synth and the rest of the band. But it's more elaborate this time, and what I love is that one of the synth players is now playing with the same effect that the bass is, so playing with that envelope filter. I don't really know how to define envelope filter, to be honest, but it's really funny because it's more of a synth say that thrice. It's more of a synth thing than it is a bass thing, and so it's really cool to see them both playing with that same effect. I went back a little bit because that build up was great, so let's keep it. Let's take it from here. Wow. Right there as they went into the brass riff once again, it was again the same section that we heard from pretty much from the top of the song, but like the drums were going crazy now. That's what I love about this sort of stuff. It changes the context. It doesn't have to be harmonically that you change the context. If you get this drummer beating the shit out of drums during this section, it's gonna change the feel of it completely. I love how happy everyone looks. Like everybody who's playing is such a bro. The dude on the percussion is such a bro. Like just look at his face, man. It's great. So we're getting into the first solos here, and if you're not familiar with jazz, essentially jazz is like a bunch of crazy musicians doing solos. That's really how you start with jazz. I was in a jazz band for 7 years, I think, and I didn't know much about music theory and stuff. Still really don't. but I started soloing like on my second year or so, because that's just the culture of jazz. And so the people you're seeing soloing here are, they've been doing it for probably a very long time, and it shows. I love the major minor vibes here, the frustration that it provides, and then the release when they come back to the world that we sort of expect from them. I think there was a little bit of an effect on that trumpet. It seems like this band really likes to mess with envelope filters, so I might be wrong. It might just be like the sound of the trumpet, but yeah, really cool sax / trumpet exchange. I'm so sorry to cut it now. I know it's like the peak of the energy of the song, but yeah, I couldn't really pause it during the solo. Obviously, my jazz solos did not exactly sound like that. By the way, where do I even start? Where do I start? As I said, I heard the song already. I knew it was coming, but I can tell you the first time it took me off guard, and every time it's sort of like I still can't process it. Now, my own approach as a composer when I do weird stuff, like sort of like this, harmonically speaking, is I just have no clue what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just putting stuff together, but I know this guy, when he does it, everything's perfectly clear in his mind. So I'm not even gonna try to go into the harmonics of this, because I couldn't. This is so unusual. It's really unusual. To me, it doesn't feel like a synth player who's sort of mastered synth at all. I don't think that's what it is. It's more like a completely different approach, because this guy plays like an alien, you know? There's two dimensions to that. First, he just plays extremely well and like, you know, sort of superhuman attitude, but also, what the fuck's he doing? Like, there's like 20 musicians in that room who can all back him for his solo. It's like it seems so natural to go for a lot of single notes in that situation, you know. And that's what I would do. But he's like doing a whole different song on his own. Like he's, by the end of it, he's like playing chords with each hand. This would 100% sound great without the rest of the band. Like, this is sort of completely isolated from what the rest of the band is doing. And again, my approach when I do weird stuff, I don't know what I'm doing. So already the sort of weird rhythm that we have going on with the bass and kick drum, I have no idea what's going on. I wouldn't be able to follow that. I can't even really get the relationship between the synth solo and it. And it feels like he just gave up in terms of trying to be with the other guys, and he's just doing his own thing. And he's not doing random stuff, like he's in key with himself, but the relationship between him and the rest of the band is sort of like obscure, at least at the beginning. And then he starts, as he builds it up, he sort of meets them halfway. But yeah, it's extremely surprising that he goes for this approach where he plays chords with his left hand and the rest of the solo with his right hand like that. Which makes me think the whole thing is improvised, because we could have another synth player play the chords, you know what I mean? If you're gonna solo, like just plan it out and have somebody else do the thing that's gonna repeat all the time. He doesn't repeat anything in this solo ever. Like there's no lick, there's no recognizable riff. All of it is merging all of the time. Never saw anything like this before. And I sort of come from the guitar world, so it's a, you know, it's more instinctive to play single notes on guitar, obviously. But even in the weirdest of guitar solos, you're gonna have some sort of repetition at some point. I mean, think of the things that are, you know, most influential to guitar players, like the solo to Stairway to Heaven, the part that really makes you go like, oh, what the hell is going on now? Is there repetition, right? Repetition legitimizes. And this guy is just over here like riffing, coming up with brain bugged. Jeez. Let me go back a bit. Wow, this is weird for me. I don't have any experience reacting to stuff, obviously, and the feeling I get is like I want to get out how I feel about it, not necessarily with words. Like when I see stuff like that, I just want to scream, which I can't really do. Um, I don't know how to explain it. I feel some sort of way inside. It makes me want to act up. I don't know if it makes any sense. Maybe because I'm trying to get a reaction for the camera or something. Um, I had completely forgotten that he kept on the solo for the rest of the song, which makes sense. Like when you reach such a peak, you sort of have to keep giving. Like I don't know how the rest of the band could match what he did right there throughout the middle of the song. It was like a 4 minute solo. It's insane. Um, when you improvise in music, it's really easy to improvise harmonically, but it's near impossible to improvise structure. So you can't really make up a song on the spot with 20 people in the room in terms of like everybody knowing where this and that section ends and stuff. Too difficult. So that solo was more limited in that way because he had a certain amount of bars to play over, and he was like doing this question answer thing with the brass section. But it was much less alien than the rest of the solo in terms of like it wouldn't sound as good on its own as what he did earlier, because he's not playing chords anymore now, and he really like caught up to the rest of the band. You know what I was talking about in terms of separation, him being in sort of his own bubble. That's burst now. He's back. He's fully in this and taking that band to the next level. Really, holy shit! Like I do wanna empathize that the rest of the band is sick as well. I mean, you give 4 minutes of solo to anybody, they're gonna look better than anyone else in the band when there's like 20 people here. But yeah, in that specific performance, he's definitely the highlight of it. I'm flabbergasted by what I just saw. Sorry for the constant cuts. Cameras make me weird. And I just cut again. Okay, goodbye. Tell me what I should do next. Woo! Ooh! Okay.